Hey guys. So, I just watched Netflix new limited series named The Madness. Okay, it has Colman Domingo in it as the protagonist, and so far I'm liking it. Okay, it's a nice little thriller, type of a series, limited series, and I'm gonna go through each episode with you guys. So we're gonna start with episode one, the pilot. Okay, all right. So I'm looking down at my notes, you guys, because I have notes. All right. First of all, I wanted to say that this series is very timely, considering um, the state of the world right now. Well, the state of America. Okay. With the politics and the new administration coming in January, and it's this series is steeped in white supremacists, and it's timely, if you know what I mean. All right. So, like I said, the main character's name is Muncie. Okay, and Muncie is a news reporter at CNN. I'm surprised they use CNN though. Isn't that their own like acronym or something? I don't know. But anyway, it's nice to have something relatable. Okay, so that's good. But anyway, he works at CNN as a reporter. You can tell like he's filling in for people, and he's looking to get his own show, hopefully, from it. He is separated. Uh, let's see. He um, is a avid runner. And he also does mat work. And you know what I mean when I say mat room work, they flip each other over, do the choke hold and everything like that. So he's good at that kind of stuff, okay? And it's showing you that right up front, okay? Just so you already know, all right? So, in this episode, you find out he has a son named, I think it's either Demarcus or Demetrius, but I'll put it up here somewhere. Anyway, and in the beginning, at the very beginning, you see him in the woods in these flashes and everything. You see him in the woods. Um, and he ends up in this predominantly white tavern or diner. Okay. And once he enters the door, honey, everybody looks up like, what are you doing in here? Okay. So you can tell that there's an undercurrent there. All right. And so, he goes over to the payphone like he was going to make a call, like probably to, the cops, and instead he sees two cops sitting over, sitting down in the bar. I mean, in the diner, and he goes over to them, and they say, can I help you? He said, one of them asks, like basically, what's up? And he said, it's been a rough morning, and that's how it goes into the story. So, there's a flashback. Okay, so you got to know from whence he came. So the flashback this is where the flashback happens. He was on. They show him like on the news, at the news station, about to go on the air, and there's this lady sitting over there, and she's with some like non-for-profit or something, and it looks like she has a little thing for him, but at the same time she wants to get him told because um, he goes on there with her, and she basically tries to, throw him under the bus. He sort of walks his way out of it. And that's that scene pretty much. She did invite him to something, but he said that, maybe next time or something. And she ain't like being brushed off, honey. She did not like that. So I don't know if she's going to reoccur at some other time in the series, but it was just something to pay attention to. So then you click to it's let's see, there's a bar scene, and he's talking, after the telecast to his friend who's a lawyer, who's also his lawyer. And that person is played by no other than comedian Dion Coles. Okay, looking all handsome and everything. Hey Dion, looking all handsome and stuff. But it's hard to take Dion Cole serious. Okay, however, he makes it work. So far, he makes it work. But he throwing in a couple little things here or there. If you just really listen to him and everything. And he's talking to his lawyer. His lawyer's like, listen, I've talked to these people at the network, and you might be, there's promise there, but you getting your own show. And he's like, oh, good, But he's not so much worried about the money. The lawyer's like, why not? Dion Cole is like, why not? He said, oh, you want to do it for your morality, or something on a moral basis. And he's like, well, I am writing the novel, So we find out that Muncie is writing a novel. Okay. And so it goes, I'm sorry, before he leaves, and he's going to go, Muncie is going away. They show him going away because, he wants to, focus on his novel. And it's for like a little, like 2 week stay or something like that at a cabin. All right. But before he goes, he has to go address something with his son. Okay. Because the mother called, his I mean, not his ex-wife. And let me back that up. He's separated. He's not divorced. Okay. So he still has a wife, but they're separated. Anyway, he goes over to the house. She opens the door. She's like, wipe your feet. Okay. And you can tell he likes that sort of banter that she gives, men love the chase, honey, but anyway, um, and yes, I do have on my Frankie Beverly garb. Yes, yes, yes. That's my baby. He's really my husband. He was always my husband in my head, but I'm sure he was always a lot of women's husband in their head, but he was mine. But anyway, and I'm just trying to think. Um, the son basically got caught with weed. Okay. The mother calls the father, come over here, talk to your son. Boy comes down. His dad pretty much sit him down and say, hey, I can't stop you from doing it, but at least hide it from your mother because I don't want to hear that. Okay. And so that's pretty much how that goes. He leaves and he heads up to the cabin, where he goes to write his novel. And he is bumping a Tribe Called Quest on his way, up into the woods. Okay. And so it's a secluded area, of course, because he wants peace of mind. Most writers, they need time to, process and get their thoughts on paper. So he goes by in his car and, like I said, he's bumping Tribe Called Quest. All right. And he goes by this one cabin and it's this white man, it looks like he's walking in with his groceries and he's looking at him like, I see you. And he saw him. They see each other. Okay. All right. So he rolls on down the road a little bit further and that's where his cabin is. So later they show him like Muncie, I should say. They show Muncie going for a run because that's something that he's used to doing. So when he's coming on his way back, he sees the guy that they saw each other. He sees that guy. And the guy's got this big 4x4, and is it just me or do a lot of I don't. It just seems like a lot of white men have big trucks that sit way up high so that they can look down at other people. I don't know what it is. It just seems like it's something that goes on. And I'm not a racist. I'm just talking, okay? And if you find anything offensive in these video selections that I give you, please don't, okay? And if you do, please keep your comments to yourself. And if you do have comments that are nice, please leave them below because I do want to, get your thoughts, everyone's thoughts on what they feel about this series. It will, give us all a good take on, the series in itself. So, but anyway, the guys, he's leaning out his window and he's like pretty much, hey, and so, Muncie's like, oh, hey, and he was like, oh, he's like, so, pretty much he's asking you, so you're up the road here, and Muncie's like, yeah, he's like, you look familiar, and he was like, oh, okay. He said, well, maybe. He said, you're on TV, right? You're on TV, right? And he didn't say it like that though, but you know how it is when people say, you're on TV, right? But anyway, he said, I've seen you on TV. And he was like, yeah, but I'm trying to get away from that. Right now I'm trying to get away from that. Okay. And basically he's like, he's like CNN, right? And he was like, yeah, yeah. He said, oh, so you got opinions. You got opinions, huh? And once he's looking at him like, oh, shoot, here go one of these, because, African Americans, we've come accustomed to know when there's a banter going on and if a person is leading up to something that is somewhat racist. Okay. And so he knew that he was being like, sort of, questioned, what are you here for? Okay, I know you and this, that, and the other. And so, he said, he also said, that he's well stocked up. The guy said that, the one that's in the car, he said, I'm well stocked up. If you need anything, just give me a knock, just give a knock. Cool. Yeah, right. I'm sure Muncie was like, yeah, right. But okay, thanks. Okay, see you. So that's how that whole scene went and everything. And it's just so funny because, it's just that feeling like, I know this person's up to something. And it's like, I really got to keep my eyes and ears open, because that's when, like, if you have a long ear, it comes up and it's like, I got to keep my eye on that one, So I'm sure that's what Muncie was thinking. Well, he should have been thinking it, okay? Because the guy gave him all the indications. So, he's cooking in his cabin, and, he's trying to get into his writing or whatever, minding his business, basically. And then the lights go out. Everything goes out. The Wi-Fi, the lights, everything goes out, okay? And remember, he's in the woods, okay? So there's no cell phone coverage, of course, okay? And so what's the first thing he does? Go ahead, answer. I'll wait. Oh, did you say he went to the guy's house? Since he said just knock, well, let me go see what this guy got over here and see if he can help me out. So he does. He goes over there and, he knocks and no one answers. And because he saw the guy's truck out there out front too. And so, he figured, well, he was home. So he knocked. He's like, hello, hello, and there's a sauna sitting over to the side. And, he slowly sort of walks up there and he's like, hello, like, I don't mean to intrude, but hello, and, he opens the door. He sees a body, honey, cut all up. Do you hear me? Had him cut into pieces like a chicken. Do you hear me? Like somebody took an axe and just chopped all those legs and thighs and the head. And he saw the head and he saw that it was the guy. And, he was just like, oh, man, oh, this is not good. It's like, oh, whoa, So he starts to back up. And then out of nowhere comes these guys in these ski masks, okay? They didn't want their face to be shown. So it's going to be somebody that we see later in the series, I believe. Because, they don't want to be seen right then and there. Of course, if you're killing somebody, you probably don't want to be seen. The killer doesn't want to be seen. So anyway, it was two guys. And so they go to shooting at Muncie and chasing them down pretty much. And there's a long chase. He falls into some murky water. This one guy, they split off, and he said, yeah, let's keep on looking for him. He's around here somewhere. And so, like I said, he jumped into the water, and, he had to go under the water for a little bit, to try to hide from the guy, but to me, it didn't look like he was really hiding that much. Like, I could see his head, your head is sitting up above the water, but I guess he was out of sight of him, out of his sight, it was, but anyway, he kept being out of sight. Long story short, the guy sees him eventually. No, the guy didn't see him. He comes out the water at the guy because, like I said, he's worked on those in those mat rooms and stuff. So, he has a skill set. So, he went at it. So he went with the guy. He went at the guy. The whole chokehold. They fall back into the water and everything. There's a struggle, and basically the guy pulls out a knife. He goes backward toward him, and he gets him. But old boy also gets him, so Muncie also got him. And so I think he threw the knife back up into his throat or something. Anyway, dude is dead, okay? Dude is dead. He dead, okay? In the water. All right. And so then, Muncie, he gets out the water. Come to find out, he's got a really bad wound on his leg and everything. So I'll be right back, you guys. Okay, so I left off at, in the water, the guy is dead, and Muncie runs, and that's where it comes back fast forward to the present, where he's standing in front of the cops, and he's like, hey, I think you all need to come see something, because I think I witnessed something. And the cops eventually got, and they came on out. They had him in the back seat just in case he was the suspect. But anyway, but since he is, bringing the allegation, he's with them so that they can go check out this place and see if the body, check out this body and see what's going on, who's dead, And so they get there and they walk into the sauna, and the sauna is completely empty. Completely. There's not a sign of blood, no axe, no body parts, just as clean as can be. Okay. Now, mind you, they've had a lot of time to, whoever it is, they've had a lot of time to go back and clean up this, the crime scene. And so, then you start to figure, okay, they're going to blame Muncie for this. Okay. And they're going to be keeping an eye on him. And by being a climate in that town, if you know what I mean, the cops are going to keep their eyes on him, tell them to keep, stay close so that if we need anything, we can contact you. But in the meantime, Muncie gets his car fixed because his car wheels were slashed. And so, he gets his car fixed and he goes back into town. Back. So anyway, Muncie, he goes back home, okay, and he's all beat up and everything. He's just like, like I said, he's got that wound on his leg and everything. He sits down and he looks around, and you can tell that he's probably a neat freak, and everything has its place, and so he remembered that he fixed this frame, okay, this picture frame on his console, and he saw that it was crooked, and he was like, wait a minute, wait, wait a minute. Somebody been in my place. Okay. That's when he's like, okay, somebody been in here. Let me start looking around slowly, and scan the room. So then he notices that his patio door was like, open. It was like slightly ajar. And that's when he calls like his lawyer, Dion Cole. And Dion Cole comes over. He's like, man, you know, so Dion Cole, like I said, so Dion is a suspect in a crime with no name of the person, nobody. You basically are being watched by two police forces. Okay. And so I think that it'll be the best thing for you to do is go to a hotel, okay, and just lay low. Okay, lay low. So basically, Dion Cole tells him, dude, I got you, but if you can at least come up with like a name or something, that if we at least had a name. He said he's going to go back, talk to his people at the firm and see what they suggest. And in the meantime, he needs to lay low. So, Dion tells him, as your lawyer, don't try to go and try to fix this yourself, because you're just going to make it a bigger mess. And then, Muncie is like, and as my friend, and he said, as your friend, you need to find out who that person is. Okay. Pretty much. So, while Muncie was, still back at the cabin, he went into dude's car. Okay. And found a card in there. At first he was gonna touch it with his hand, and he was like, "Oh, fingerprints." So he opened it up with the sleeve, and he went in there and got a card, and maybe this is the guy's work number or something. So he had enough foresight to grab that. Okay, so he's using that card now. So fast forward, he's using that card to go look for the guy. Okay, because he needs a name. Okay, and of course on the card there's a name, and it's this guy named Mark Simon. Okay, and so he goes to his place of business and asks about him, and the salesperson basically pretty much blows him off. In the long run, blows him off, says, hey, he's not here, I can't give out that information. He's only here like once a week anyway. And the excuse that Muncie gives is that, I just, he's supposed to be helping me with, my game room, or, my man cave, And so when he goes to walk away, after he got this information there's no information from dude, dude said, yeah, but I can help you. I can help you with your game room, with your man cave. And he's like, oh, dang. Now I got to follow through on this. So they sit down, they talk, and, I guess he gives him something to go by so it doesn't look suspicious. Okay. So, at the furniture store where Muncie is sitting talking, he's just like blowing off this whole, trying to build his alibi for asking this guy about this Simon guy, this Mark Simon. The guy's just going on about, they're talking about, he basically plays into it so that he can get more information from the guy just by doing small talk. So the guy's small talking, and he finds out that this guy has a wife, and they're separated, and he has sons. He has two sons, and that pretty much she's asking for full custody. So he got all that out of just small talk. Okay, so he walks away. He goes. He looks up that person in that area. He looks up the lady's name, because the guy mentioned her name too. So he looked up her first name and this guy's name in the area. Okay, and so he found where she lived, and he went to her place and said that he saw Muncie said that he saw her husband And she's like, what are you doing here? Pretty much like, what is it? And pretty much he said, well, I saw your husband the other day ago, and he was hurt. He didn't say dead. He said hurt. Okay. And so, he said, but then I went back and he was gone. So do you know where he went? You know, so Muncie basically, questions the wife, um, because he found out they're separated. This guy and his wife are separated, and he basically asks. He holds up the card. Is that his handwriting? And she's just like, he said, does he wear like a G-Shock? It's a watch. It's a big old watch. And she's just like, really, you need to just get away from here. And So basically, he gets from her that, hey, so he was there in the Poconos. I guess that's where they were, the cabins. And he basically leaves his card with her and say, hey, get in touch with me if you hear anything. In the meantime, this guy, well, that pulls up in a big old Ford F1, whatever that thing is, that big truck that the white guys drive all the time. There's black guys and Spanish people who everybody drives them, but you see a lot of white guys with them. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. So anyway, he pulls up in a big F-150, whatever that thing is, Ford F-150, and then he goes on the side of this guy's this the missing guy's, the dead guy's wife is like, hey, we got a problem here. That whole racist thing, like, do I need to call the cops on the black guy? So anyway, he walks away, and everything like that. So then you see Muncie, he's sitting in his diner or something, and like that leg of his was look real bad. He need to go get some peroxide or something put on that. Okay. I mean, it's a pretty nasty gash in his leg. Okay. So anyway, he was looking at it, and he apologized to his one patron that's sitting up in there because like he's eating and you're looking at a wound. So anyway, he said, I'm sorry, dude, pretty much. And in the meantime, it's this FBI, agent that walks up, and he, obviously he knew where he was. He walked up to him, gave him his card, and basically is asking him questions about, hey, if you give me information, I'll give you information. Basic, it could be, we help each other type of thing. And you could tell that the agent, he's sort of like, he's crooked. Okay. He's a little weird. He's crooked, and he gives off a crazy vibe. And he leaves his card. He tells Muncie, you need to go get that leg seen about, And so, Muncie proceeds to go get his leg seen about. He's sitting in this hospital. I'm thinking to myself, now you work for CNN, okay? You got some money, okay? You got some money. Why it look like he in a public clinic? Why did it look like he just sitting around? I mean, it's crowded. He's in a public clinic waiting to be seen and everything. I'm like, why couldn't he just go to a private doctor? You don't have a private doctor? You don't try, I mean, come on now. But anyway, he's sitting there and it's a long wait, basically. It's a long, long wait. And so, then they show him in a scene where he's in a wheelchair. He's got his leg like sort of posted out because it's hurting. It's probably throbbing by then because it's a nice little gash up in his leg. And so these two white guys come up, one behind him, one in front of him, and they're like, oh yeah, we heard you messing with brother 14. So brother 14 is this big white supremacist that went missing. And so they tried to pull his string and everything. So then these mofos, they go on to try to get information. Hey, did you know, brother 14, blah blah blah. I heard he's not well, this, that, and the other. And then they lean into his ear and they say, oh yeah, well, maybe your family knows. And so then Muncie just breaks out like, hey, my family's in trouble. So he goes to get to his family, to get them somewhere safe, because he sees that this is not looking good. Okay, so he calls, he leaves a message with his wife, and his estranged wife, and so he gets there, and they just chilling around the house. And his son is like, well, what's up? He's playing a game or something. He's like, what's up? And so then the wife comes in, and she's just like, he's just like, well, did you get my message? And she's like, no. So basically it was a miscommunication, and he's like, hey, we got to get up out of here. Okay, they after us, they after all of us. Okay, you attached to me, so therefore they're after all of us. Okay, all of us. Okay, so they go in, so they go to one of those, and like his his estranged wife is just looking at him like, oh, I just don't like you, and I don't know what you got us into, but she also knows that he's a public figure, and he's doing what's right pretty much for his family. On his way to run into his car to try to get to his family, he runs into this news reporter named Laura Jennings or something like that. She's a news reporter. He's just like, well, are you here to help or hinder? Pretty much. I think that she gives him his card. She gives him her card, and he rushes off. Okay. And I know I just keep on mentioning that his friend / lawyer is Dion Cole. I just feel better calling him Dion Cole, but his name is Quasi in the program. His name is Quasi. And so, like his son brings up something on his laptop while they're in the hotel room, and basically, Muncie's on the anonymous, dark web, so there's they're passing his picture and everything around, so people are looking for him. And the wife, his wife asked what Quasi said. Well, Quasi said, stay at the Ritz-Carlton. And his son like, oh dang, and we up here at the Holiday Inn, the Days Inn. Oh, pretty much that's the way, and so they start to talk, the mother and father, Muncie, and his estranged wife. I gotta find out what her name is, by the way. They only mention it so many times, but I'll find out and I'll put it here. Okay. So while they're there, the wife is just like, you need to call, that Laura Jennings lady that, who's the lady gave him the card, the news person. And he said, well, she crazy. Have you seen her stuff? And so he shows her something on his phone. And then she said, well, you need to call the FBI guy. You need to call everybody, basically. You know what I'm saying? Call Tyrone if you need to, but call somebody, okay? Because we in trouble. We in trouble. And so, he keeps calling this lady, and it keeps going to her voicemail. And coming to find out, she in the hospital. She didn't had a heart attack. Okay, like all of a sudden, a convenient little thing happened. Somebody put her in a hospital. That would happen. So, Quasi's just, Muncie's just like, what? Because he was in like this little, Muncie was in his little, I guess the Days Inn little diner or something like that, where they, he was just looking over the food or whatever they had for breakfast. And, and that came on the television. And in the meantime, they showed this guy sitting over on the side, and he looked suspicious. He didn't look like he's fooling anybody, but he looked very suspicious. But anyway, and he find out from the television that, Jennings, the reporter, she's in the hospital with an apparent heart attack. And, he just like, oh man, so he walks out of the place and finds the guy, that same guy that was sitting down, leaned against this van, and he looks at him real suspiciously and everything. So, the guy, he, in the meantime, Muncie's looking over at the guy, and his son's like, hey, Dad, he hollers from out the motel room, hey, Dad, can you bring my Switch controller out the car? And he's like, yeah, no problem. In the meantime, dude just get in the car and scurries off. So, Muncie goes into the back of the car to get his son's Switch. Okay, like he said, like that he would. And so, he looks back there, and it's like, You know, he's looking, you like, what is that on the back seat under that seat there? You know, and we can't see what it is. So, you know, we just like, what is it? You know. So anyway, he pulls it out. It's dude's the guy that's dead. It's his watch, but it's cut off. You know, it's broken, and it's just the face of it. And on the back of it is blood. He picks it up with his bare hand. I don't know why. And so he stands out there in the middle like, this like, he stands out there in the middle like, is this really happening? You know, is this really happening? And pretty much that was the first episode, you guys. I can't wait to see the second episode. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to bringing these reviews to you guys. I think it was a really good episode. This pilot was really good. I believe that the season runs, this limited series runs for 8 episodes, if I'm recalling the right way. I believe it's 8 episodes. So please tune back in for each one of those. I'll be reviewing them. Put your please hit the bell and make sure that you know whenever I post, and subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys next time, okay?